Welcome to Wire. Today we're talking about Anthony Loke's fiery rebuttal against critics of the Penang light rail transit project. This wasn't just, typical political noise. It feels like the stakes are incredibly high here, especially with this much federal money involved.
Oh, absolutely. It was quite a confrontation, really. Anthony Loke is the Democratic Action Party Secretary General and Transport Minister, essentially drew a very clear line. He was challenging the opposition directly over what he sees as vital national development. It really puts the tension between state needs and federal strategy under the microscope.
And the setting for this was the Penang Democratic Action Party annual convention. Right. So he was speaking to his base, but his message was aimed outwards. He wasn't vague either. He seemed to target specific National Alliance members.
Exactly. Precision matters here. He explicitly called out the Islamic Party of Malaysia Member of Parliament for Permatang Poh. You might remember that MP stated quite publicly in the lower house of Parliament that, and I quote, Penang people do not need the light rail transit.
Oh, okay. So that specific statement seems to be the trigger. Loke's reaction was, well, notably strong. He didn't just disagree politically. He questioned the MP's fundamental commitment to Penang's future.
He went further than that. The language got very intense. Loke suggested that an MP opposing this kind of crucial development, as he sees it, well, he said that MPs simply does not deserve to be an MP and needs to be overthrown. That's powerful stuff.
Wow, yeah. That's not pulling any punches. It signals the government views this LR2 project as almost non-negotiable, like resisting it is resisting progress itself.
It certainly raises the political temperature.
Definitely. So let's unpack Loke's reasoning.
Right.
Why is this LRT project so critical that it warrants such strong political defense? What's the core argument for it?
Well, Loke's position is clear. This isn't just about easing traffic on the island. It's a strategic economic project. The main goal is integrating Penang Island's economy, the industrial and administrative hub, with Seberang Perai on the mainland, which is the big labor and logistics center.
Okay, let's pause on that integration point. Why is physically linking those two areas with rapid transit seen as such a game changer economically? What does that unlock?
Think about talent flow, labor mobility. Penang is a global heavyweight in high-tech manufacturing, especially semiconductors. That needs skilled workers. Right now, getting that workforce to the factories on the island means dealing with, well, often heavily congested roads. Loke argues the LRT will fundamentally, and this was his phrase, change the entire economic structure of Penang. Better mobility means less commute time, more efficiency, higher productivity for those key industries. It's about keeping Penang competitive in the region.
Right. So it shifts the conversation from just fixing traffic to securing future high-value jobs. That frames the 16 billion ringgit differently. It's less a transport cost, more an investment in industrial strategy. But still, 16 billion ringgit is a huge sum. Where's that coming from? Loke tied this back to the government's wider economic policies, didn't he?
He did, very directly. He linked the funding capability back to the Madani government's overall framework and its focus on reform. Just for clarity, the Madani framework is the current administration's guiding policy focused on things like sustainable development, good governance, and institutional reform.
Okay. And how did that Madani framework specifically enable funding for the LRT? What was the connection he made?
He pointed explicitly to fuel subsidy rationalization. The argument is that by making those difficult reforms, which he claims save the nation billions annually, the government created the fiscal space needed to fund major infrastructure projects like this, federally backed LRT right away.
I see. So the narrative is we made a tough but necessary cut here, subsidies, and here's the direct, tangible benefit, LRT, for a vital economic area. That's a strong counter-argument. But they still faced criticism about fairness, didn't they? The idea that maybe Penang was getting special treatment.
Yes, that was a major line from the opposition. Lawmakers questioned why the federal government seemed to be focusing such a huge sum just on Penang, hinting at political favoritism. And that resonates, people want to know if resources are being spread fairly across all states.
Sure. So how did Loke address that? How did he defend the government's allocation strategy as being fair?
His defense was pretty robust. He insisted the Madani government aims for fairness across all 13 states. He argued the Penang investment is driven by strategic economic need, not politics. And to back that up, he gave examples of development projects being allocated to states run by the opposition.
He actually named them.
Yes, specifically mentioned Kelantan and Kedah receiving federal development funds, despite being opposition-led states. The point was to demonstrate impartiality, to show funding isn't purely based on political alignment.
That's a crucial point to make. And he didn't stop there, did he? He contrasted this with the previous administration's track record in Penang.
Right. He directly accused the National Alliance, when they were in power, of actually cutting several Penang projects. He even brought up a specific example.
Which one was that?
He mentioned a cable car project previously approved by a former Penang chief minister that he said was canceled under the National Alliance government.
Ah, okay, so he's painting a picture. They cut projects, we deliver massive investments like the 16 billion ringgit LRT. It's a very clear contrast he's trying to establish.
Exactly. But Loke's vision for Penang, as presented, seems bigger than just the LRT itself. He talked about it as part of a connected strategy. He linked the LRT's success to another major infrastructure upgrade happening simultaneously.
Right, the airport. Let's talk about that. How does the airport fit into this bigger picture with the LRT?
It's about integrated infrastructure. The second pillar is the Penang International Airport expansion. That's set to boost passenger capacity significantly, up to 12.5 million annually by 2028. But Loke seemed particularly focused on the cargo aspect, which ties back to the industrial strategy we discussed.
Okay, so connecting the dots, LRT moves the people, the airport moves the goods. What specifically is happening with air cargo?
He specifically requested that Malaysia Airports Holdings Berhad work together with the Penang Development Corporation. Their joint task is to expand the air cargo terminal and the logistics park down at Batu Mong. It's about increasing capacity substantially.
How substantially? Is there a target?
Yes, the specific goal mentioned was doubling the dedicated air cargo parking bays from 3 to 6. For high-value industries like semiconductors, where components often need to move quickly by air, that kind of smooth, high-volume logistics capacity is absolutely vital. Doubling it helps solidify Penang's role.
So if air cargo gets bottlenecked, those global tech companies might start looking elsewhere. This expansion is about locking them in, basically.
That seems to be the strategic thinking. It secures Penang's position in those critical Asia-Pacific supply chains for the foreseeable future.
So putting it all together, the LRT for labor, the expanded airport for cargo Loke, is presenting these infrastructure projects as fundamental to Penang's economic survival and growth.
That's precisely how he framed it. He called these combined initiatives, the LRT plus the airport logistics, upgrade the lifeline for Penang. In his view, they aren't just nice-to-haves, they're essential to maintain the state's importance, both within Malaysia and on the international stage.
So looking back, Anthony Loke's really strong defense of this multi-billion ringgit Penang LRT project goes way beyond just talking about trains. It's effectively a very public, very forceful justification of the Madani government's whole economic approach, using fiscal reforms to enable big strategic investments in key areas.
It really brings a core tension into focus. You have this massive 16 billion ringgit project described as a lifeline for a crucial economic engine. It prompts a big question, maybe for you listening. How should development politics balance these huge, long-term national economic goals against more immediate local concerns, like the ones voiced by that MP for Permatang Pao? Where does that balance lie?
Remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this.